Najib, you've written about the need to hate, about how, in some senses, our sense of self is derived from the things that we hate.
Well, that's not exactly what I said.
I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
No, this is one of, my hot buttons, whenever somebody talks about, hate and racism and things. So, here's the reality, and if you indulge me for a second, I'll tell you a story, and trust me, it's going somewhere. So, imagine, 11, 12-year-old Najib. I've only told this story once before in public, okay? So, this is how much it touches me. So, imagine, 11, 12-year-old Najib going to a new school, right, on the north side of Edmonton, full head of beautiful, thick black hair that I miss so much, and I sit at my desk. Yeah. So I sit at my desk, and this other 11, 12-year-old boy comes by my desk and he says, "Yard ape." Okay, so he says, "Yard ape." Okay. Najib, who has never heard this word before, is like confused. Was that directed at me? Like, what's going on? Right? The next day he comes by and he says, "Porch monkey." Right? And this goes on for days, right? He's got very, very creative names that I've never even heard of before. But eventually I'm starting to understand by his tone that he's, directing these at me and trying to diminish me, right? And the more that I don't resist because I'm confused and scared, the longer he spends at my desk calling me these names, towel head, camel jockey, all of these names. So, so me being the resourceful young kid I was, I made friends with the biggest guy in class, and Ronnie, and I'll never forget his name, Ronnie, stopped, right? But here's the twist, right? Ronnie wasn't white, okay? So this is what I tell everybody when we get in these conversations and we point fingers at white people, about racism and hate, right? It's not exclusive to white people, okay? We are all racist to some degree. And any brown person that tells you that they're not, ask them how they treat people of other colors and minority faiths in the countries that they come from. Because I'll tell you, in the country I come from, we treat them horrendously. Okay? So we all have this ability, right? So as long as we keep going in this outrage cancel culture of pointing fingers, you're a racist and you need to resign, and you're a Nazi and all of this, we're going to get nowhere. No time in history has anyone changed their mind by being called a name or being called out. Okay? Actually, their belief becomes even more entrenched. Right? So if we want to conquer this hate, we need to start talking about more productive ways of talking to each other, more ways of actually building alliances and trying to at least understand. And maybe I won't change that person's mind, and maybe, Ronnie and I would never have been able to sit down and have lunch together. But at least, let's face it, Ronnie didn't learn those words on his own. Ronnie wasn't born a racist either, right? It was taught to him. So at least if I could sit and listen to him and he feels he's heard. The best thing I ever saw in 2015 when, they were talking about the anti-niqabs, and they were talking about the barbaric hotline, someone put a sign on their lawn and it said, "I love my Muslim neighbors. They give me smosas." Right? Because that's what it breeds. Familiarity. That's what we need.
Okay,
we
you
need
said
to
different
know.
ways of talking to each other.
Yeah.
Let's